We welcome you back to CBS Mornings, but it's the story we're all talking about because there's still so much we don't know about why a Delta jet carrying 80 people crashed in Toronto on Monday. 2 people are still hospitalized, but amazingly, everybody on board survived. That is such good news. Delta CEO Ed Bastian joins us now for an exclusive interview. We're also going to bring in our transportation correspondent, Chris Van Cleave, for this conversation. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Ed. Good to see you, Ed Bastian, this morning. Chris?
Ed, can you talk to us?
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Gail.
Yeah.
Ed, I know there's an investigation here, so there's some things you can't tell us, but have you been able to learn anything about this accident that may help people understand what went so wrong here?
Well, before I get to your question, Chris, I want to express my deep appreciation and thanks for the crew on board the plane. Our Endeavour crew performed heroically, but also as expected. This is what we train for. We train for this continuously. The fact that they were able to evacuate that plane as expeditiously as they did under extreme conditions, coupled with the fact that all 80 people walked off the plane with limited physical injuries, was really a testament to the safety that's embedded in the systems. I want to thank the first responders, the medical team, the care teams on board, the Toronto airport, everyone, and the design of the aircraft itself worked as expected. I can't provide any details, Chris. It's an ongoing investigation, as you are aware. Other than, we've all seen the media, we've all seen the videos. That's about as much detail as we can look at and talk about at this moment.
Ed, I've gotten a lot of questions from people about the pilots here. Can you tell us how experienced these pilots were? Would they have been familiar with that airport, particularly the conditions in the winter in Toronto?
Absolutely. It was an experienced crew. There's one level of safety at Delta, Chris, between our mainline and our regional jets. All of these pilots train for these conditions. They fly under all kinds of conditions at all the airports in which we operate. So, no, there's nothing specific with respect to experience that I'd look to.
And I was thinking, too, all the passengers that we've talked to are giving big kudos to your crew, so I'm glad you gave them a shout-out. The flight attendants, they said, remained calm under all the circumstances. But I just can't stop looking at this video. I'm sure you are, too. And I'm wondering, when you first saw it, number one, Ed, I didn't even know a plane could flip over like that, number one. Number two, it says Delta Airlines. What went through your mind when you saw that picture? And I'm sure you've looked at this video many, many times. I'm a very nervous flyer, as you know, and I'm just so freaked out by this. So when you saw this, what did you think?
Well, it's horrifying. When you look at the video, you can imagine, when I received the text minutes after it happened, hearing that there was a regional jet upside down on an active runway with 80 people on board, how I felt without knowing yet what was transpiring. But the reality is that safety is embedded into our system. Air travel in the United States is the safest form of transportation and travel there is, period. And it's because we train for events like this. And yes, it's amazing the work that our team did up at Endeavour, but that's what we expect out of them because we are prepared for all types of circumstances.
The Trump administration recently fired many employees of the FAA administration. Do those cuts worry you, and do you think that impacts the safety? I know you just said it's the safest way to travel, but after looking at all these mishaps, a lot of people are very nervous. Do these cuts affect you?
The cuts do not affect us, Gail. I've been in close communication with the Secretary of Transportation. I understand that the cuts at this time are something that are raising questions, but the reality is there's over 50,000 people that work at the FAA, and the cuts, I understand, were 300 people, and they were in non-critical safety functions. The Trump administration has committed to investing deeply in terms of improving the overall technologies that are used in the air traffic control systems and modernizing the skies. They've committed to hiring additional controllers and investigators and safety investigators. So, no, I'm not concerned with that at all.
Ed, the administration has also called on Elon Musk to modernize air traffic control. From an airline standpoint, what needs to be done to make the system better? And a quick follow, if I can, what do you say to the people who are nervous getting on airplanes right now?
Well, to the public, I can understand the concerns at the moment. The reality is it's safer than the car ride I took this morning to get to my office. It is the safest form of transportation, period. And it's safe because in our industry, we all focus on safety. And we're a very competitive industry across the U.S. airlines. There's one thing we do not compete on, and that's safety. We all work together. We learn from each other. Every single incident that happens, whether it's reported or not, gets reported back to our teams that we share across the industry. So we learn from each other, and this incident, as terrible as it appears, was something that we'll learn from. They'll make us better.
Yeah, we can't wait to hear the answers. What happened? I know you want to know that too, Ed Bastian, but kudos to the Delta crew and your team that everybody survived this. Thank you very much for your time. We know you're busy, very busy today. Thanks a lot.